a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Dave X Media.
Welcome to the restricted section, in which I am breaking up with Harry Potter, and it's the most embarrassing breakup of my life, including that time that I begged Rory to take me back in the crowded hallway of Robinson Secondary School, clad in a full depression sweatsuit. You heard me right. I begged a man to love me. Absolutely disgusting.
Tina, it was high school. It was high school. It was high school. This was a boy.
It was a boy. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I wrote man in all capitals too, so in my notes, I'm just going to correct that to boy. You know what? In retrospect, he was gay, and that explains a lot, but I didn't know that at the time. If you haven't done the reading, don't worry. We did it for you. Here's what we're talking about today. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Chapter 10, The House of Gaunt, in which Harry enters a pensieve consensually for the first time in his life, and he and Dumbledore explore Voldemort's origin story with the delightful Gaunt family. I'm your host, Christina. My co-host today is Haley. Say hello to the listeners, Haley.
Hello, listeners. I'm Haley, and there is something in my ceiling that you may or may not hear through the course of this episode. Is it a possum? Is it a raccoon? We simply don't know.
The joys of living on the top floor. Although, were you on the top floor at your last... Oh, yeah, because it was only 2 floors.
Yeah.
And you had stuff in your, oven, right? Or your... What is it called? Your, hood? The hood of your oven?
That was ants. Yeah. I got ants in, the weirdest fucking place they could possibly...
From above.
Yeah, they did come from above.
What?
Death from above.
Yeah.
Don't rule out squirrels either. We had squirrels in our attic.
I've had those as well. This sounds bigger. This sounds beagle-sized.
Oh, no.
We're gonna need a bigger ceiling.
Yeah.
You said beagle-sized?
It sounds beagle-sized.
That's processed really slowly. Oh my god, listeners, you probably don't recognize, because why would you, the dulcet tones of our friend Takenna. Say hello to the listeners, Takenna.
Hello, everyone.
I am so excited to finally get Takenna on the show. You've been a friend of the pod for a long time. Before we go any further, tell the people, what are your pronouns?
My pronouns are she and her.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Takenna, what's your Harry Potter history? When did you start reading the books, watching the movies?
Okay, so this is a long story, so you can cut me off at any point. But I started reading Harry Potter when I was when I was 7. And that was a friend of the family had recommended the book to us, and my parents read it aloud to us. So I have fond memories of listening to that. And the next year, when the second book came out, we did the same thing. And did that for the first, I think, 4 books. My parents read them aloud, Sunday afternoons or driving in the car. So that's how I did those. But then nice. I was older by the time the 5th book came out. I was really tired of waiting for other people to read slowly. Yeah. And wanted my own. So if you guys remember, but they would give out these bookmark, pre-order things, back in the day.
I don't remember that.
Instead of an email. So my parents would get me that for my birthday. Because I was born at the beginning of July. And the book usually came out on Harry's birthday.
Yeah. Yep. Because my birthday's about a week before Harry's, and I would wait and it would appear.
Yeah. Yeah, so we would so I did that for 5, 6, and 7. And I remember for the 7th book, I went to a midnight opening, not opening, but Books A Million, to get it at midnight.
Midnight release.
Yeah, release. There we go. And I went with one of my friends, and we sang Hey There, Delilah for hours while waiting for the
hours?
Yes, for hours.
Oh, I'm so sorry you didn't know any other songs.
What year did Book 7 come out again?
I was in high school, so it was...
I think it was 2007.
That is a very 2007 story.
Yeah.
Well, Hey There, Delilah. Hold on. Came out... Oh, come on, fucking year.
It wasn't new.
Oh my god.
But it was enduring.
So Hey There, Delilah. Yeah, it lasted for a couple years longer than it should have.
It was like Wonderwall.
Hey There, Delilah was 2006. Deathly Hallows. I know there's people. It's 2007. I know there's people out there who are like, you've Googled this on the show live like 16 times. Why can't you retain these numbers? It's because they're numbers, man. I'm not going to retain them.
Yeah, join our Patreon for the bonus episode where our friend Motz wrote a trivia quiz that was mostly numbers questions.
Yeah, or also we've done, we did a math episode that I was really excited to release on Pi Day, and I fucking whiffed and I released it a day early.
Thank you once again for not involving me in that in any way.
There was a point where Andrew was talking and he was doing math out loud and I was like, come on, shut up. We got to do the next thing. And he kind of just gave me this look and I was like, oh no, I forgot it's the math episode. I guess carry on.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you guys stay up all night and read the book after you got it?
Yes.
That's what I did with, at least that one. I have vivid memory of like staying up all night and reading it. But
I think it was 4 through 7 I managed to do that with.
I had to be sneaky about doing that. Like,
why?
Well, because my mom also read the books aloud to me, but like by the time 5, 6, and 7 had come out, like we're one of those families where we've been doing something this way for a while, so now it's a tradition, so now we have to do it. So she would get upset if I read ahead. So I had to, like, at night take the book and read ahead so that she could read it the next day, and I had to pretend not to be surprised by stuff.
Wow, Bridget.
I think my dad was also tired of waiting. Like, he wanted to know what would happen.
My mom loves reading.
Because both my mom and my sister, like reading, but they're much slower at it.
Like she loves reading in general, but she also just loves reading out loud.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
it's exhausting.
Go figure.
I don't, but I have to read out loud a lot. Like I actually just read the chapter about the Norwegian Ridgeback, Norbert, aloud to my kids.
That one's so fun.
Yeah, but it's funny because like it's so different than the 6th book.
Yeah, it's a little different. The stakes are different. So did you go to the movie like midnight releases?
I don't even remember. Like, so they must. Yeah. The one I remember the most is when I was living in Germany, and I think it was the 7th or the 8th movie came out, and we got off at the wrong train station, and it was like the opening day at the like foreign theater that actually showed things in not German, and had to book it because we got off at the wrong train station.
Oh my god!
But. Yeah.
Haley's never had to book it for a train.
Never once in my life. Certainly not last Friday.
I fell asleep when I was supposed to drive Haley to the train station. It's fine. I told you, Haley, that when I fuck up, I tell everyone about it first. Now it's my joke. Now you can't use it against me.
Look at me. It's my joke now. It's okay, everyone. I get free tardies. She doesn't get to give me shit for 3 whole tardies.
And listeners, that's how you manufacture confidence. This is my mistake. I'm owning it. Yeah, fuck you. This is mine.
I did make the train.
Yeah, that was, I was like, I'm going to wait right here. And it's going to be a really hard ride back if you miss that train. Haley called me. I like drove to her house. She was like, I'm on the corner so you can get me faster. But respectfully, it wasn't a corner that would have helped me get you faster. And then I went to the corner and then you called me and you're like, I'm in the alley. And I'm like, hey babe, there's so many alleys. I need you to be more specific.
I'm in my alley.
I'm coming around the corner. Like I was, okay, I'm going to come look for you. It was fine. Everything's fine.
I really was just gasping for breath by the time I made it to the platform because, like, the building's weird, like, at the station, so, like, where you
I didn't know where to drop her
Yeah,
off.
so, like, I tried, like,
Sam
4
knows.
doors,
I had to do the same thing to
like,
Sam.
going around the whole building, and then I had to run upstairs. By the time I got, like, I was wearing Docs like an idiot. That was on me. And I just, like, got out there, and there's just nice VCU boys, like, ma'am, can I... Do you want someone to hold your bag? And I'm like, fuck you for calling me ma'am. I didn't say that, but I wanted to.
I get it.
Oh my god. Haley, your gender is she, her, yes, miss, ma'am, no thank you.
Yeah, that sums it up.
That's like that TikTok where it's like someone attempting to describe their gender and they're like, I'm not a man, but like a little guy, a little fella. I feel like it applies to womanhood too. It's I'm not a lady.
Like, if you've ever seen the Chris Fleming "Am I a Man" video,
is it a dude or a chick?
Is he a guy or is he a woman?
He sounds like a guy, but he has long hair like a Bichon.
I'm like the platonic opposite of that. Like on the scale of gender, I am like exactly on the other end of that seesaw.
Okay, well, I guess everyone pause the show and go watch that. I'll do it too.
That's my plug for the day, Chris Fleming, in general.
Takenna, what is your Hogwarts house?
So I was Ravenclaw, but since I've become a mom, like anything I've taken is like, you're a Hufflepuff. And I feel like that is very, very much affected by my thinking like a mom now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which like makes sense
honey,
to me.
Be nice, make friends.
Like if you look at like Molly Weasley, I'm like, she kind of acts like a Hufflepuff now.
It depends on what kind of mood you catch her in.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think the culmination of her duality lies in the line, "Not my daughter, you bitch." You know, that's a Gryffindor doing a Hufflepuff, or vice versa. Yeah.
No, I mean, I've been saying it with the Hogwarts houses. They're not exactly what you're like; they're what you value.
Aspirational.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm definitely, I think, a Gryffindor, but you know, I'm a Hufflepuff.
No, I mean that makes sense too. Because as I've gotten older, I've definitely changed what I value. Like, there's still a lot of me that values like learning and knowledge, but more of it is friendship and niceness and being kind to each other. Mm-hmm. That's what I teach a lot of now.
Yeah, it's the most important thing in the world. What's your favorite Harry Potter book?
I've always liked the third one. I think, yeah, I still like the third one, but the
vibes are
one
good.
now is like way better than I remember it being.
Yeah, same, totally same. It's always been the one I slept on the most, but I'm loving it. I'm having a great time. We like Harry Potter again, guys. Woo!
It's a complicated relationship.
So where does the book 6, is that like maybe your second favorite, or is it in the middle?
I would say probably my second favorite. Like, I'm not overly a huge fan of the first two books because they're so simple and now I see not super well written.
I almost feel like you can't pick a favorite in this series. You have to pick a favorite 1 through 3 and a favorite 4 through 7. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I probably do like 3, 6, 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Cool. Well, thanks so much for coming on the podcast, Takenna. We've been talking about Harry Potter online for a very long time, and it's very good to be able to get you on the show. Admittedly, we are still all online, but it's just a little bit different. Just a little bit different. So let's fucking talk about Harry Potter. This is pretty interesting chapter, so I'm excited to kind of get into it. Get ready to talk about nothing that we've really ever talked about before on the show, frankly.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah.
Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Chapter 10, The House of Gaunt. It starts with it's like the first week of school still, and Harry is continuing to follow the Half-Blood Prince's instructions to great success in his potions class.
Who knew?
Who knew? Oh, who the hell said this to me? Okay, hold on. Let me just go into was it this guy? No, it wasn't. Who said it in the Discord today? Watch me go all the way back, and it was Takenna.
Oh, that'd be funny.
Did someone point out the
I don't think it
book
was.
Blackboard discrepancy?
I think someone did, yeah.
Please explain.
I've definitely seen this observation float around online, so I wouldn't be surprised if someone had brought it up. But like in earlier books, when Snape was teaching potions, they would always mention him putting the instructions on the board. And
yes,
Slughorn...
Phil is the one who brought this up in our Discord today.
Okay, yeah.
Continue.
Okay, so like Snape always put the instructions up on the board for the class, and Slughorn basically has them read out of the book. Snape never had them do that, so the prevailing theory is that part of the reason Harry was bad at potions is because he was always in the back of the classroom because he fucking hated Snape and his glasses suck and he couldn't see the instructions right and just wasn't doing things right.
Okay, so what Phil said is the exact same thing except for that, like, it was Snape's presence that affected Harry's performance because, like, duh. Like, he's an abuser.
Yeah.
I just gotta shout out Phil one more time for this because he's put it in a spoiler tag because it's reluctant praise of J.K. Rowling.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, this is pretty cool. I'm going to spoiler tag it because fuck these books.
I liked what he also said that that's why Hermione had done better before because Snape was giving them the better instructions instead of what had been in the book.
I feel like in reading this in the past, I feel like I attributed that to just being in a Newt level class. And that's probably part of it. But I don't think that J.K. Rowling has an elegance to her writing that was, like Hermione's good at school. So if she's not good at school, there's going to be a plot reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so Hermione's like, I'm not using those fucking alternative instructions. I'm going by the book. I'm Hermione Granger.
I love her so much.
I do understand her reluctance, though, to use, like, random instructions out of a book that someone's just handwritten on there. Because, like, what if it actually makes the potion explode? Like, what if they were terrible? Like, I might do it after some of them worked out, but...
Harry is establishing a precedent that they work. For starters.
No, I mean, so after a while, I'd probably try it, but the first time, I'd be like, dude, you're insane. You have no idea what that's going to do.
Yeah, well, to be fair to Harry, like, the first of the instructions that he tried was just, like, just use the flat of the knife to squeeze this bean instead of cutting it.
Yeah.
Right,
and
it's like, the same end,
well, what could
different
that,
means.
Yeah, what could that possibly have done wrong? So then he's like, all right, well, that actually worked, and then he starts
like,
trying other shit.
That was a really good first one, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I saw a TikTok the other day that was like, hey, instead of fucking karate chopping an incredibly sharp kitchen knife into your hand to get the pit out of an avocado, you could just push from the other side. And I was like, whoa, I would much rather do that. And it works. And that's like the equivalent of the change that Harry made in that first potion.
Yeah.
And I have to respect Hermione, though, because even after she's, like, had it, like, she could ask Harry to sit down and show her exactly what he's doing different, and she is simply too stubborn. She's just mad, and I love it.
It's really frustrating, and I actually think that this is part of why Hermione, every once in a while, we talk about other houses that our characters could have been in, and I think that a true Ravenclaw would have been interested in this discrepancy. But Hermione bullheadedly writes it off as incorrect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the lawfulness of, like, a Gryffindor.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Or at least, like, they're, like, lawful...
Like
lawful neutral.
Like, a Ravenclaw, somebody who, like, values doing things the clever way instead of, like, the cool way.
Yeah,
would have immediately been like, yes, cheating!
Yes, it's like the student who, like, writes a whole code to, like, do his homework so that he doesn't have to.
Like, I think Ravenclaw's motto is work smarter, not harder.
Right, totally. And then also, I just think a Ravenclaw would have been, like, interested intellectually in, like, what is happening here. Like, why is this working better? Like, let's get to the bottom of this. And Hermione's like, no, I hate you. And then Ron, like, wants to be copying these instructions, but he can't read the handwriting. Come on, dude. Nobody ever taught him cursive.
Like, hasn't he been reading the same fucking handwriting off the board?
I think he's having to read it at an angle so it doesn't look like they're sharing the book.
Yeah, I guess.
It's a weak excuse.
What do they not find out what potion they're doing until they get there that day? Harry can't copy the notes out for them. They're not Ravenclaws.
Yeah, why doesn't Ron just go through and write all the stuff in his book?
Yeah, there's, like, a lot of things that could be going on here. Like, for starters, high schoolers are weird. And like, I would have just shared a book for no reason other than I wanted my leg to press against my friend's leg and we're giggling in class together. Like, I just think that there's so many solutions. But so hey, poor Ron, he's just failing.
It's kind of like in a horror movie when the cell phone's battery dies because they need to make sure no one has cell phones. They're like,
Classic.
he can't read the handwriting, so Ron sucks at this.
Tale is old. And honestly, like, it's kind of unethical, I think, if Ron is truly struggling the way that we've seen him struggle academically in the past. It's like unethical of Harry to not try harder to help him.
Like,
you know?
Honestly, to get like that's an amazing point. Why didn't they just on their own time copy all of the notes into Ron's fucking book?
Because it seems like something they would do. Like,
yeah, right? Like, that's a really good point, because, like, that's... Oh, God.
It's not till much later that Ron is suspicious of the book.
Quick note, Ron is currently using, at least for the time being, he is using a loaner. So even though like he might feel some kind of way about writing in a book he knows he's going to have to return, even though the one that Harry borrowed still you know what I'm saying, though?
Okay.
So, like, in a week or two, when they get their actual textbooks, yes, that's the solution.
Yeah, because imagine if he had written on a book in Molly Weasley's household.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
those cost a lot of fucking money.
Okay. I do still feel dumb for not having thought of it myself. Like, so I guess I can't talk shit about two 16-year-old boys, but...
You're as dumb as Ron. Congratulations.
Oh,
so
God.
I think if Hermione had wanted to, like, participate, she would have thought of doing something like that.
Yeah.
Like, let's read it over and see what all these instructions are and see if anything is insane.
Oh, well, sucks to suck, fuck boys. You made her mad.
Yeah.
Speaking of, is anything here insane? Harry also starts to notice, like, non-potion stuff in the book, like spells that the Half-Blood Prince invented. And he's like,
I'm sure
I trust this guy.
Yeah, I'm sure that won't come up later. Seems totally irrelevant to future events.
Yeah, that'll never come up again.
No, surely.
Finally, it's Saturday. It's time for Harry's meeting with Dum. He's going to Dum's office. In the hallway, Harry passes Professor Trelawney. He hides. He's like, I'm not doing that.
I love that she's like doing, like, not tarot, but kind of tarot.
It's like a deck of playing cards, like old school playing cards.
Yeah, but, like, honestly, the things that she's reading off, like, that is... I've done a little tarot, and that's exactly how it always fucking sounds.
I know. I love the Knave of Spades thing, and she's like, no, that can't be right. And I'm like, yeah, because you somehow did actually sense that Harry's just, like, right there.
Oh, no, yeah, like, who has the line? It's
okay, I've got it.
It's so hilarious.
No, I've got it right here.
Okay.
So, 2 of spades, conflict, she murmured as she passed the place where Harry crouched hidden. 7 of spades, an ill omen. 10 of spades, violence. Knave of spades, a dark young man, possibly troubled, one who dislikes the questioner. She stopped dead right on the other side of Harry's statue. Well, that can't be right, she said, annoyed. And Harry heard her reshuffling vigorously as she set off again.
That's right. That's the best part. One who dislikes the questioner. Like
every fucking time I try to do tarot, it's like vague nonsense, vague nonsense, vague nonsense, something extremely specific that may or may not be true, but sounds decidedly untrue.
And then a fuck you.
Yeah.
It's very funny. And I just gotta say, it's no secret to the listeners that I'm kind of over this show at this point. So I'm kind of done reading. I reading these books. I'm e-reading all days. I got the Jim Dale version from the library. And Jim Dale, I feel for the man. Okay, like, imagine having to distinguish among this cast of characters. Imagine this is the 6th of these books that you're narrating. Okay, imagine that you are ancient and you're being asked to narrate the voices of, like, young women. I get it. It's hard. But there are some choices that I mean, a lot of his choices, I fucking hate them. Trelawney's voice was so stupid. I'm going to put a clip of it right here.
2 of spades, conflict, she murmured as she passed the place where Harry crouched hidden. 7 of spades, an ill omen. 10 of spades, violence. Knave of spades. A dark young man, possibly troubled, one who dislikes the questioner. She stopped dead, right on the other side of Harry's statue. Well, that can't be right, she said, annoyed, and Harry heard her reshuffling vigorously as she set off again, leaving nothing but a whiff of cooking sherry behind her.
He can only come up with character voices, like, in as much as they differentiate from those characters around them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Quite funny. And our listener, Chloe, has assured me, I didn't really notice this, or maybe I haven't listened to any chapters that have Voldemort in it in the audiobook, but our listener, Chloe, sent me an email to let me know that Jim Dale's Voldemort sounds exactly like Winnie the Pooh. So I will definitely be throwing in a clip of that whenever it feels appropriate.
Oh my god.
So there. So Harry goes into Dumbledore's office. Dum has arranged for Harry to do Snape's detention next Saturday instead. Not going to get out of this one.
Oh well, at least Snape got mildly inconvenienced.
Sure, exactly. We'll take what we can get. So then Dum explains that he needs to teach Harry more about Voldy. He says that Harry's like, I thought you said you told me everything you knew. And Dumbledore's like, I did. We're going to start like speculating together now, right? Okay. Like, and it's been a couple months since we talked, right?
It's a brainstorming sesh, all right? He wheels out a big whiteboard. It's like, okay, all right, we're doing a word cloud. No wrong answers.
No wrong answers. Dumbledore writes on the board, should Harry die? ? Harry's like, I think maybe that's the wrong answer.
We'll just leave it up here as a thought.
I feel like it's more like there's like the whiteboard. He's like, here's our brainstorm. And on the back of it, because it's one of those flipping ones, it's like lies to tell Harry or things to keep from Harry still.
Well, in this chapter, I don't remember when it happens at the end, maybe, I guess. Harry's like, will this help keep me alive, basically? Or will this help me survive? And Dumbledore's like, yeah, this will help you survive. Okay.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Like, bro.
Fingers crossed, bud.
So Dumbledore pulls out the pensieve and a vial. He says they're going to enter the memory of Bob Ogden, former head of magical law enforcement, now deceased.
I don't think he was the head. I think he just worked there.
Okay.
But he is dead.
See? Remember Takenna in the beginning? I was like, feel free to correct me because I say wrong stuff all the time.
No, I'm pretty sure he said he tells the Gaunts that he's the head of magical law enforcement later on.
Who was Bob Ogden? He was employed by the Department of Magical Law Enforcement.
Yeah.
Employed by
right.
Could mean head of, but doesn't.
I'm gonna look it up.
It says the harrypotter.fandom.com. It does say that he eventually rose to become the head of magical law enforcement.
Oh, yay, we're all right.
He got a promotion for busting the Gaunts.
Oh, okay.
Is that right?
I don't know. I thought it said he tells
Probably
them he's the head. Maybe wrong.
Okay, listen. No, that doesn't help at all.
So can I just bring up that Dumbledore says that Bob Ogden died years ago, but he got this memory before then, so he's had it for years. But so much of the important stuff in it is in Parseltongue. So has he just been watching this memory, having no idea what's happening?
Honestly,
he really needs Harry.
Yeah, that
so I kind of feel like he brought in Harry so he could find out what the fuck they're saying.
Well, he probably eventually guessed right because he did eventually find the ring and get a lead on the locket at least. So, and from context clues, I feel like it would be kind of you could kind of figure it out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's Harry would have been super useful 10 years ago for this, and he's just well, alright, I guess I'll just show you this for context.
Quick question. Does legitimacy work on people in memories?
No.
On any level?
I don't think so.
Think so, no.
Because they're not there. It's just what the person remembers them as.
Yeah,
it's like watching a video.
If the person whose memory you're in doesn't know what the other person's thinking.
Yeah. It's like you're in a VR.
Maybe you could do legitimacy on the person whose memory it was.
I was just gonna say, like, what if you go into Bob Ogden's memory and you just get, like, a voiceover narration while you're in there of everything he was he, like, lands and he's like, oh, kind of a harsh landing. Cute lane. This reminds me of where my aunt lives. Anyway, oh, there's the gate there. Oh, a gate. These locks on these gates always trip me up. I love Hamora.
Thank God my muggle costume is absolutely full proof. I am nailing this. He is wearing a strange assortment of clothes, so I've chosen my experience with trying to look like muggles. In this case, a frock coat and spats over a striped one-piece bathing costume.
Okay, so we know what the striped one-piece bathing costume looks like. What frock coat? Does that just mean like a women's coat?
No, it's like an old-timey suit coat. It's one of those things that you would look at and say, Haley, you would look great in that.
It's like a duster, but it comes all the way around.
Yeah, it's like a fancier duster. It's like a dress duster.
Okay. I was looking at a frock coat today, and the people in the
I was
Discord
say, like,
server
the
were
one
telling
that
me
you
to get it.
were looking at earlier.
Yeah, it's literally a straight up, like, dress coat. Okay, and then spats?
It's a shoe thing.
Oh, those things. Imagine an old-timey man shoe with all them buttons.
Yeah,
That's
like the thing on the outside of the shoe that, like...
So weird and stupid.
Hooked around the heel for reasons unknown?
Yeah, it's like a leg warmer. Okay, I'm going to Google now. I'm going to change my search from spats to why spats. Why on earth? To protect shoes and socks from mud or rain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we just... Oh, I guess because shoes were a lot harder to come by back then.
Yeah. Yeah, I get... Okay, alright. Alright, I'll allow it. England's rainy, alright.
He looks great. Hold on, I'm going to also... Now I'm going to look up Bob Ogden fan art. Are there any good ones? Oh my god, there's some good ones!
Oh my god.
Okay. People will make Harry Potter fan art about anything. Okay.
Amazing.
Okay, look at this guy.
Yep.
What? He has what kind of a beard is that? Someone explain to me what that beard. It's the same beard that the like administrator guy from fucking Mulan has.
Yeah, it's like the lower half of like a full Fu Manchu situation.
Thank you. Yes, I was trying to figure out how to describe it.
Or just like it's like a soul patch with a ponytail. It's
It's a snake tail. No, he's not a Gaunt. And then there's this. He's wearing this one depicts him wearing spats.
Just the
spats with no shoes, and the fucking frock coat looks like a bathrobe. This is not cute.
That one just under it looks kind of legit. Like, yeah, that's
an AI.
Okay, all right.
I mean, if it says Deep Dream Generator, that's gotta be an AI.
Did not see that.
People out here getting AIs to do the Lord's work of coming up with fan art for obscure Harry Potter characters. This one's very cute. This is giving Over the Garden Wall.
Oh, it is. It looks like Wirt.
Very cute.
Wirt would never have this confidence, though. Honestly, Bob Ogden's kind of a badass.
All right, I think that's all of the fan art of this.
She
honestly,
says, continuing to click through fan art.
It's honestly truly incredible that there was like 5 pieces of Bob Ogden.
I'm really impressed.
Yeah, me too. So, gotta put on my computer screen back together. So they land on a country lane with Bob Ogden. He's dressed for fashion.
Oh
week.
God, you know what this is making me think of? It's like a fucked up version of the animated bit from Mary Poppins. When they go into the chalk drawing and they're in an idyllic countryside, except like then it turns into, what it turns into. But like,
sure.
It starts off very Mary Poppins. Very jolly holiday with Mary. It's a jolly holiday with Harry.
Okay, so Dumbledore and Harry follow Bob down into, or like toward Little Hangleton. I guess this is how towns are named in the UK. There's a big, what is it called?
There's Greater Hangleton and Little Hangleton, yes.
I was like huge Hangleton and tiny
Honestly,
Hangleton.
having been to the south of England, yeah, Yeah, it literally does sound like this.
I mean, there's even Great Britain, and there is like a Lesser Britain in France. So.
Yeah, Brittany, yeah.
And I mean, the English that came here were also not clever. Knew everything.
Yeah, no, like
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, no, the like English towns sound a lot like Massachusetts towns. Just nonsense Shire bullshit.
Sure, and I think there's probably a historical explanation for that.
There is, but it's
called
strong,
imperialism.
Yeah, but the legacy is strongest in Massachusetts.
Right, but I think that's because that's one of the earliest points that was settled even on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Bob disappears into a hedge, like before they get to the village proper, and they catch up with him in a copse of dark trees, and his wand is out. There's a little house in the brambles that they can barely detect with a dead snake nailed to the door. Great omen.
And then
Love
window opens, and a thin trickle of smoke comes out, and they hear loud coughing, and shit, it's the cops.
Haley taking the opportunity to smoke some weed.
Thank you for the narration.
A man drops from a nearby tree and says, "You're not welcome," in italics.
Italics!
Bob Ogden says he can't understand him, and Harry's like, What is happening? He's speaking plain as day.
What an idiot!
He retains like nothing. Harry.
Like, how many times has this fucking happened at this point, my guy?
I know.
You've met so many snakes.
Like, way more than a normal kid.
Has he encountered someone speaking parcel tongue, though, to not a snake?
I guess not.
So there's a snake on the door.
It's weird that he never hears it.
It's very strange that he cannot tell when it's happening. Because it suggests that his ears don't work.
Well, his eyes don't.
That's true. It's giving like Babelfish from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but only for parcel tongue.
Yeah, right.
Like, yeah, I don't know, because when I know another language, when I hear that other language, I don't not realize it's in a different language.
Sure, right. You're like, that's definitely Espanol.
I guess it's like just magic. Like that's there we go. I waved both hands at it, so it's as hand wavy it's gonna get.
I actually think that's perhaps the first time on this podcast that you've been the one to suggest magic as an answer, as a solution.
What are you talking about? I've been saying for years now that wizards are all about the drama. How is that not the same point?
I guess you're right. No, I guess you're right. It allows us to be dumb with Harry. But there's a snake on the door. Whatever. An older man. The dude is named Morphin, and he hits Bob with some kind of spell that lands him on his ass. Rough day at work.
With yellow pus coming out of his nose.
So, I would like to talk about something very briefly that just occurred to me. So, we've been calling Aurors wizard cops. Is Bob Ogden an Auror? It doesn't say he's an Auror.
No,
it says that he's from the Department of Magical Law Enforcement. So
the Aurors are more like detectives or like FBI agents.
Yeah.
Right, versus like a beat cop.
Law enforcement are the cops.
Okay.
Yeah, like I think I noticed that sometime in like book 5, because they don't talk about magical law enforcement that much. They're not really emphasized. So like the Aurors are definitely like more of the bad boys that live on the edge. And this dude
they're Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, and this dude is more like a beat cop.
Okay. I gotta tell you, every time they talk about the Department of Magical Law Enforcement, I think of in the Santa Claus, the elf SWAT team. Do you guys remember
yes!
that? That's what I imagine. Just the magical law enforcement is just a bunch of kids with jetpacks.
Because there's the Department of Magical Law Enforcement, and then there's the Magical Law Enforcement Squad. So, is the department, partly...
Maybe that's, the SWAT team.
Yeah, that might be it.
They go in to handle, like, emergencies.
Okay. That makes sense.
I guess.
Like, mostly, I think their job would mostly be, like deflating Aunt Marge, like, when that shit went down.
That's a squad goal. So, an older man comes out of the house speaking English. We get the classic country rundown about how this is private property. So, of course, Morphin jinxed you dumbass. He was threatened. And Bob's like, threatened by what? I'm just like a dude. I'm wearing a bathing costume.
Look at me.
And spats like with or without shoes. Sprinkle in a bit of prejudice against the Muggles, just on a little bit of a tirade.
Yeah, like, he brings up noses, which is like, oh, that's some old-timey, like, not even magic, that's just real racism.
That's
what the
real
fuck
racism.
Like, why are you bringing up facial
about
features, weirdo? Like,
yeah.
What, do wizards have phrenology? Is there wizard phrenology?
I was about to Google it, but I'm too scared. I'm going to Google it. Harry Potter. Oh, I don't know how to spell phrenology.
PH.
I learned Phrenology of a Wizard, Harry Potter. Oh my god, I'm so scared. That's the name of a book.
What?
What book?
The Illustrated Guide, Phrenology... Oh my god. The Illustrated Guide, Phrenology of a Wizard. Know thyself. What on earth? Oh, I'm scared.
Tina, I don't think wizard phrenology is going to tell you anything. Do you want me to just tell you what phrenology is?
I think I'm on a bad website.
Yeah, no, it's not the worst thing ever.
No, I know what phrenology is. I just have never spelled it myself before.
All right.
I just wanted to know if anyone has ever been down this rabbit hole before, and apparently...
apparently someone wrote a whole ass book about it, so I guess the answer is yes.
Yeah, I'm really confused by this. What is this? No, nothing. That's nothing. Okay. Okay. I guess, yes, wizards have phrenology, or at least had phrenology. You know. So the older man, Mr. Gaunt, tells Morphin in parcel tongue to go inside, and he does. And then Bob is like, well, actually, I wanted to talk to that guy. And Mr. Gaunt is like, are you pureblood? And that's neither here nor there, said Ogden coldly. Woo! Ally!
Like, I respect that so hard, but also it is funny coming from a man dressed the way that he's dressed in the English countryside. Yeah. Like, what? Do you think that a man who has ever in his life spoken to a Muggle would be dressed this way, sir?
So true.
But good on you, Bob.
This book series has set us up especially with the deep foundational passiveness of Harry Potter's character. Anytime we get a glimmer of allyship, it's cause for a grand celebration.
And honestly, I just like Bob. He's a take charge kind of guy.
Yeah. And maybe the bathing costume makes me a little extra sympathetic to him.
He's managing a great deal of gravitas, considering how he's dressed.
Haley, imagine like having to go like cold walk up to someone's house to tell them some bad news, and you're just like in a bikini with your keens.
And a frock coat.
And a winter coat.
And a frock coat. Are you cold or hot? That's what bitches, when I was in high school, bitches used to wear flip-flops with leg warmers, which was so fucking infuriating. Cold or hot? Cold or hot?
Tina, the children are trying to bring back the early 2000s. Don't give them ideas. It was a bad time.
What's that girl's name? There was one girl who did it like constantly. Her name was like Samira or like Samara, something like that.
Like the girl from The Ring?
I've actually never seen The Ring, and I asked Sean if we could watch it this holiday season.
Okay.
But Samira and Samara are both very normal names also outside of The Ring.
Okay.
I've actually never maybe met a Samara, but definitely some Samiras.
Yeah, Samara has very strong ring connotations these days.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they would wear them with leg warmers?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yes.
It was a real bad look.
Because, so I would wear flip-flops till my toes were blue, but I wore them with jeans. It wasn't that weird.
But
Yeah.
but leg warmers.
Leg warmers. That's a choice there.
Samira or Samara would wear. I don't know why I remember this. It's because her outfit pissed me off so much. She would wear, like, everyone did it occasionally, but she did it, I think, like every fucking day. She would be wearing.
This is my thing.
She would be wearing a baby doll tee with a cardigan, a denim mini skirt, and then black flip flops with like brightly colored leg warmers.
Oh my god, that sounds like a Kim Possible character.
I think
Samira, if you're listening. Yeah, no, it's bad. That's the thing. Like, take off the leg warmers, you're fine. Replace the flip flops with Uggs, you're fine. It's not like Uggs weren't in style. It's not like she didn't own them.
Chucks, even. That would have been fine either. Like, anything.
Anything. So Bob is like, did you get my letter? And Mr. Gaunt is like, I didn't receive no damn letter. I don't open the mail. I don't trust the government, or like whatever he says. Which I mean, maybe he doesn't say that, but if that's what he's gonna get here, it's kind of same, but maybe the mail service isn't. Oh, he says he has no use for owls.
Yeah, he simply says, I don't open letters.
Yeah, he says, I got no use for owls. And it's like, well, maybe to warn you about visitors coming to your property. That's one use.
No. He uses the snake mail service.
Snail mail.
Snail mail, as it were.
And if it's late with the mail, they nail it to the door. And that's nail it to the door.
There you go. Oh, there it is. There it is.
Yeah, that was really good and worth our wait. Bob is like, can I come inside? And they're like, fine. So they, okay, we're inside now. It's small and dirty, and there's a fire despite the summer heat. Morphin is in there singing in parcel tongue to a live snake. And there's also a girl who is cooking and quiet. I'm gonna check something.
Meripy.
Rhymes with therapy. Okay, wait. I'm gonna switch it to the American pronunciation.
Miro.
God, Americans are the worst. Americans ruin everything.
That's how I've said it my whole life.
Merope, me too. But then I got the Jim Dale in my ears going Meripy, and it's obviously so much more beautiful.
This was the first time that I read this and, like, recognized that word from another context, and I was like, oh, it's Greek, it's Meripy,
it's Greek.
Okay.
It's giving Greek.
It's actually, like, it's kind of a cool story with that name.
Tell me.
Okay, so there's a star cluster called the Pleiades. There's 6 stars in it, but in pretty much every culture in the world, cultures that have nothing to do with each other, it's called the 7 Sisters, or it's like 6 sisters and their mother. And when people, designed telescopes that could, like, actually see into space, and, like, that were powerful enough to see that star cluster, they realized that what they'd thought were 6 stars, because, like, all of these stories in these unconnected traditions have it has something to do with... Sorry, passing.
Motorcycle?
Yep.
They coming my way?
Possibly.
Tell them to fuck off.
Fuck off! So all of these unconnected stories and these unconnected cultures have something to do with one member of this family being lost or becoming mortal or dying or something, which is like the reason there's only 6 stars in this constellation instead of 7. So when people got the ability to, like, see into space, they realized that it actually is 7 stars, and 2 of them just orbit really close to each other. So with the naked eye, it looks like there's only 6. So the prevailing theory is that there was a time in human history when we had started developing religion and language and all of that, when they were 7 distinct stars, and then at some point within human memory, they became 6.
Wow, that is actually extremely cool.
Right, so Meripy is, in Greek tradition, the sister that vanished.
Whoa. Oh. Yeah, names on purpose.
Mm-hmm. Also,
J.K. Rowling does her names on purpose.
Yeah, and Morphin is a reference to Morpheus, which is the god of dreams.
Okay.
Yeah, and Gaunt, I looked up the etymology of that just for fun, and it's supposed to come from the Old Norse Gant, which had a few meanings, one of which is a long, thin, pointed stick.
Oh,
right?
That's a little on the nose.
Right?
Man.
I mean, Marvel is like Greek or something for I needed letters to make up I am Lord Voldemort. But
That's true. I've heard that too.
Wizards are all about the drama.
That's so funny because, like, being named Mr. Gaunt is like being named, like, Mr. Taylor. It's like, someone in your family used to be a tailor. It's like, oh, were you one of the oldest magical families? Quick, give him a last name. Wand.
Wand Zingsworth.
Bob gets to the point. Morphin performed magic on a muggle last night. Merope drops the pot, and Mr. Gaunt screams at her to use you stupid bitch, use magic! Instead of dropping stuff, basically. Bob is taken aback. I think that we all know the feeling of when one person in your presence unexpectedly yells at another person in your presence, and you're like, I wish to not be involved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We watch Merope fail to use her wand to salvage the situation. The pot shoots away from her and cracks in two. Bob mends the pot for her, which is like a point in the fucking con column as far as Mr. Gaunt is concerned. Are you going to help my terrified daughter? How dare you?
I'm trying to abuse my children here. Do you mind?
Literally, that's how parenting literally used to be, though. Bob tries to get the conversation back on track, but Mr. Gaunt, let's just say, does not seem very worried about it.
Don't you know who he is?
Yeah. So, Bob whips out a summons for Morphin to come to a hearing at the ministry. Mr. Gaunt is not pleased. He escalates to yelling, and yes, do you know who I am? He's showing off this ring as proof that he's pureblood from the Peverils. Cool. That's really relevant and important.
6 1/3 books into the entire series, and we get our first Deathly Hallows breadcrumb.
Yep. I mean, at this point, I'm like, yeah, let's do that. Like, we're getting there. We're finally introducing the concept for which the resolution of which will finally release me from my curse of this show. Fucking Mr. Gaunt drags Merope bodily over to show Bob a locket that was apparently Salazar Slytherin's. It's just like such a disconnect of value that it just really proves how isolated they've been, that they think that this is like any way to get anything accomplished with a fucking officer of the law.
Yeah, there's a definite note of fallen aristocracy here. Like,
oh God.
Like distinct.
Yeah. Yeah. He's doing a false equivalency. Like, Bob summoning Morphin per the law equals he thinks the Gaunts are scum. Like, Bob's like, nah, man, there's like a legal system here.
Yeah, like, this is some hardcore projection, my guy.
It's really wild with like how little oversight there is at Hogwarts, and then you go out of Hogwarts and there's a lot more oversight.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like people just gave up. They're just like, okay, well, it's a school full of small bombs.
Yeah, what are we gonna
do? Just sequester it in the Scottish hills and hope nothing too horrible happens. Try to keep the body count down. Just try.
And narrator voice. And then something horrible did happen.
And they did not keep the body count down.
So Bob gets serious. He's like, dude, I don't care about your ancestors. Here's the summons that I'm like required by my job to give you.
Like, honestly, I'm seeing Bob as like a young Ray Holt. Imagine Ray Holt, first of all, in this outfit, and second of all, handling this situation. If anyone could handle it in a bathing suit and a frock coat and spats, with or without shoes, it's Andre Brower. Like, it's true. He would pull this shit off.
Yeah, okay. I support that casting. We need new fan art. They all hear hooves outside. A girl's voice rings out being like, "What a horrible house!" at the top of her lungs. Bitch, come on. That's so mean.
Is that a snake nailed to the door?
Like, they said that you could barely see the house. So did he, like, stop so that she could look at this horrible house? I feel like if they just kept going, they, like, wouldn't have even noticed it very much.
No, it sounds like they're out on, like, a romantic ride and, like, maybe, like, riding just off the road or something.
Mm-hmm.
That or, like, being on a horse does give you a really high vantage point, so they might just be able to see
they can see over the hedge. That's so funny. I mean, even after Harry goes past the hedge, he still is like, oh, there's a house in there. But maybe because the people who live there know it's there, they can see it.
Mm-hmm.
This bitch asks Tom if his dad could have the hovel cleared away, but apparently he only owns most of the valley, not this part of the valley.
What a fucking douchebag.
Tom is talking about how Gaunt is a tramp and Morphin is crazy, blah, 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 blah. Oh, and then we get the girl's name, Cecilia Darling.
Ugh. God, these two sound like two extras out of Downton Abbey that are just, like, passing by a scene from Harry Potter.
Whoops. Oh, I think we're on the wrong set.
Oh, good heavens.
But I saw Maggie Smith. I swear to God, this was right. So after they leave, Harry hears an exchange in Parseltongue that implies that Merope has a crush on Tom. Apparently Mr. Gaunt didn't know this and so it becomes apparent that this dude is the man that Morphin jinxed, ostensibly targeting him because of Merope's crush.
And meanwhile, Bob is just watching this whole thing go down with, like, three adults hissing at each other.
Also Dumbledore, and I definitely think he's watched this memory more than once and has just sat here and been like, I wonder what they're all yelling at each other about.
It's so funny. Oh, it's so funny.
Like, you don't necessarily know it's about the dude that just passed by. I mean, he probably does because he attacked Tom Riddle Sr., but it's just like you're sitting there and like, I wonder what they're all yelling about.
I wonder if he brought in a translator. A contractor one, not from the government.
I don't know. No one speaks Parseltongue.
Yeah, do you think that's like a job that you can have? If you're like one of the few people that can speak Parseltongue, you can just like sell your services?
I feel like it'd have to be on like the black market though, because everyone thinks you're evil just for being able to speak Parseltongue.
That doesn't make it illegal.
Yeah.
But it does make it hard.
Yeah.
It does make it hard to advertise your services. Yeah, it's also probably not enough translation work to sustain a career. Probably have to have another job as well.
But it could be like a side gig, and you could meet people at like the Hog's Head where you like disguise yourself so no one knows that you're the Parseltongue translator.
Totally, I'm loving this.
Wizard side gig economy.
In this economy, you gotta making the most of my Parseltongue skills.
I gotta send my kids to wizard college. I'm just kidding. There's no wizard college.
That's fake. Yeah, that's fake. So Mr. Gaunt throttles Merope. Bob hits him with the old relatio and sends him flying backward. Morphin comes at Bob with a knife and a wand. And then Bob runs. Good call. Good call, Bob.
Yeah, reinforcements. Reinforcements are needed.
Bob makes excellent choices this entire time. Like, I'm just gonna fix the pot. I'm gonna stop you from choking your daughter. Okay, I'm gonna run away now. Like,
the
great
true
choice.
hero.
I am
the true hero of book 6.
Yes, yeah, Bob Ogden.
I'm also now just imagining this as being Raymond Holt in a striped bathing costume, and it's amazing.
It's a good visual. It's the best. He'd rock it.
He is all business.
Someone would be like, what's up with your outfit? And he would give them this stony stare and be like, I don't know.
These are normal Muggle clothes.
I think I look great.
About? I've seen Muggles wear these things many times.
Many times. Okay, out of the pensieve once more. Time for our debriefing. Harry asks, what happened to Merope? Dumbledore responds, she survived. Bob came back right away with reinforcements to remove Morphin and Mr. Gaunt and convict them of, like, everything? I don't know. Everything.
Oh, did we mention Bob bouncing off of Tom Riddle Sr.'s horse?
Oh, no.
Yeah, on his way out the door, he did run fully into a horse.
That's like running into a wall.
It is. It just proves how
serious.
fucking tough Bob Ogden is.
He's a hero. So we learn now that Mr. Gaunt's first name was Marvolo. He is Voldy's grandpa. Maripy was Voldy's mom. Tom was Voldy's dad. What? How could that have happened?
Well, Harry, when a man and a woman don't necessarily love each other. Okay, do you know what a love potion is? Anyway, they do a kind of special hug.
Yeah, Dumbledore speculates that she bewitched Tom with a love potion or similar, suggesting that her powers maybe came out a little bit more once her abusers were out of the picture, kind of like how Harry's good at potions now. Same. Sorry, one of those things is kind of a joke, the other one is not a joke. And then when Marvolo got out of jail, Maripy was gone, run away with Tom, the Muggle. He died soon after. Tom eventually broke free of the love spell and went home. But Maripy was pregnant when he left her. I really, wonder... I hate to... I'm trying to figure out the right way to phrase this, because this was a different time. I wonder if she was, attractive. I wonder if she, was capable of, strong and coherent speech. I wonder if there was, ever any chance ever of her, in terms of class, ever being a part of his life in a permanent way. Well,
I'm remembering from book 4, when we get Frank's prologue, right? It's mentioned that, Tom was kind of a shit. So, if Maripy was, a decent person who did a bad thing out of desperation, basically.
Right.
And, naivety, then I don't think that, Tom staying with her would have been good for either of them.
It's true. I honestly, even though, obviously, doing the love potion or similar, bad. That's, fabricating, non-consent, that's bad. She had no context for that. She had no way of understanding consent. She never consented to a single thing in her life. We don't know the depths of her abuse. And a lot of time, people who are in abusive parental relationships have a very, very, they have a very hard time getting out of those relationships. But a lot of the time, people go to a different kind of abuser, in terms of maybe a partner who's older than them, or, in other ways just totally unfit, but it's because they've been sheltered in this hell of abuse and they need someone powerful with resources to take them away. So I understand why she felt like she needed to latch onto him in order to escape.
Yeah.
I think she probably had this obsession with him too, because her life was so terrible, and he would go riding around the town and being so gentlemanly towards these ladies that he was courting, that she probably imagined herself there. So I can just see her being kind of having this whole relationship built in her head, and trying to make it happen. But I don't think he would have ever gone for her, even if she was beautiful, just because of the whole social class thing.
Yeah.
They thought Gaunt was a tramp. In the wizarding world, he was something else. But in the Muggle world, all the wizards are really weird people.
It just goes to show how absolutely made up and bullshit class is, because he thinks he's better than her, and he is the richest man in Little Hangleton. It's bro, you're not cool.
Yeah, but any kind of really stratified society where class or status in general is really openly emphasized, then even no matter how low down the ladder you are, you're still very aware of who you're above. In fact, more so.
Yeah.
So, like, his father only owns half of the valley, but his father still owns half of the valley. So everyone that he lives around is a peon to him.
Thanks, I hate it.
He did end up alone and, like, living in his parents at, like, 40, so...
And then being murdered in the dining room.
Yeah, murdered in the dining room.
His crazy teenage son that he ran out on, yeah.
So, when Tom left Merope, she was pregnant. Dumbledore goes on to speculate that perhaps Merope thought Tom might actually love her now and like let him off the love spell, and then he was like,
nah, your eyes go different directions, I'm out.
You know that scene in the movie adaptation of The Half-Blood Prince when Ron he gets spiked with love potion, and then he gets the antidote from Slughorn, and the camera's just like really tight up on Rupert Grint's like beautiful beaming face, and you have to watch as like the horror sets in, and it's just like so sad. He's really good at face acting. That's what Tom also did. Like, Tom literally had that moment of like, oh no.
I'm going to go back to my previous life of being an asshole. I was happy as an asshole.
Yeah, really. So Dumbledore's like, that's it. I'm tired. Harry is like, do you think learning about Voldemort's past is important? Dude, what do you think we're doing here? No, I think this is dumb.
This is literally orientation day. You stupid idiot.
He's such a dumbass. He asked permission to share everything with Ron and Hermione. Dumbledore agrees. Do we think that's because if he and Harry both die, somebody needs to know? Because he definitely doesn't do it as like a fun, cool thing for Harry.
Like, honestly, it just feels kind of lazy to me, because like the literal phrasing here is, but Harry, I am going to ask you to ask them not to repeat any of this to anyone else. It would not be a good idea if word got around how much I know or suspect about Lord Voldemort's secrets. So like, this is the kind of shit that he had the entire Order of the Phoenix on full lockdown in Book 5, and now he's just like, alright, but you tell them that I told you to tell them to just not tell anyone about the super cool secrets we're learning.
I also think he knows he's gonna die.
Yes.
Spoilers.
Oh, yeah.
But it is like, oh, you need someone to explain this to you once I'm gone. So let's have that be Hermione.
Wow. He's like, Harry will never accomplish this without her.
Important.
He's like, Harry, please consult with Hermione, please.
So yeah, let's keep Hermione up to speed. Then she will take over for me and know what's going on, or at least figure things out better.
Yeah. Okay.
No, it's like, it's
and I
a
guess
good
Ron
move.
can be there too.
Yeah, it's a good move and it works out, but it does feel very reckless after the whole like shadow of secrecy from the last book.
It does feel reckless. Also, you know, getting Ron in the know kind of makes sense, because after Dumbledore dies, the Weasleys will be the only people who are actually looking out for Harry, the way that Dumbledore has supposedly been looking out for Harry, or at least like handling his business, you know, like that's Molly's job now. And so like, all right, might as well get Ron and the Weasleys in on it too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No, I mean, like you said, it's reckless, but dying people are definitely reckless.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. That is also
true.
Like,
Dumbledore probably has some desperation at this point, because he's like, oh, I've only got a year to live. I gotta get shit done.
Dude, imagine his exasperation with that context when Harry's like, is this important? Is this gonna be on the test?
Yeah, sure, kid. It's gonna be on your fucking SATs. Your wizard SATs.
So then Harry is like, hey, that ring you're wearing looks awfully familiar. Or is he not wearing it anymore? It's like on a pedestal now, whatever. He's like, I recognize that ring. And Dumbledore's like, ha ha ha, anyway, good night.
Like, in the most fucking theater kid kind of way, like, just draws the moment out, like, until you can hear its tendons snapping, and right as Harry's about to ask what happened again, he's like, anyway, good night!
I just love it because, you go back to the beginning of the chapter when Harry's like, I thought you weren't keeping any more secrets from me. And Dumbledore's like, I'm not. We're experimenting together. Then it comes to the end of the chapter and Harry's like, oh, how'd you get the ring? And Dumbledore's like, don't worry about it. He's like, it's the back of the whiteboard.
It's not a
Secret's
secret,
not to
Harry.
tell Harry yet.
It's not a secret, Harry. It's suspense.
Takenna, I love the notion of Dumbledore having a front of the whiteboard, front of the blackboard, back of the blackboard. Like, that's very, like, on the nose. Like, I love that imagery. And, like, when Harry leaves, he, like, flips it back and it just still says, Harry needs to die, ? And, like, giant letters.
I think he literally had one, because here's his front of the whiteboard. He's telling Harry about the Horcruxes. He's, like, showing him the history.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the back of the whiteboard, and it's Snape. And it's like, here's the sucky news.
Yeah.
You have to tell Harry someday. Thanks. Bye.
Wow.
I'm going to die now. It's good.
You owe me everything because you loved a woman once and she died.
And I didn't do anything for you. And
because I wanted to have a slave for the rest of my life, and all of the slaves that are enslaved at my school weren't sufficient.
Well, they can't read people's minds.
Slaves, all kinds of slaves.
Mostly spies.
Oh, they're spying. There's a chapter in here called Elf Tales.
Yeah.
They're spying. Well, that is the end of the chapter. Takenna, do you have any final words or funny moments or anything else you wanted to highlight?
No, just that I think Dumbledore showed Harry this memory so he could finally learn what the fuck they were saying. He didn't know.
That's very funny, and I like that. Haley, any final words about the chapter?
No, I don't think so. I think I got all of my fun trivia facts out.
Thank you for that. I really enjoyed this one. I like getting into big plot stuff now. Like, I'm ready. I don't know if it's because of, like, genuine appreciation for the narrative or out of, again, desperation to be headed towards the end of this book series, but it does, as we've mentioned, especially compared to Order of the Phoenix, it feels like the things that are happening in the Half-Blood Prince are things that are happening. You know what I mean? Like, that's really cool. That's cool to progress the plot with every chapter. Incredible notion. Amazing.
We're moving right along.
Cool. Yeah, we really are. We're going to get there. Well, we are 30% of the way into the book. There's 33.3 repeating. Mm-hmm. There's 30 chapters in this book. This is chapter 10.
Not that you're counting.
Not that I'm counting. Chapter 20 is called Lord Voldemort's Request. So that's the pacing. Huh. Chapter 30, the final chapter in this book, we're doing base 10 right now, is The White Tomb. And that episode is slated to come out on February 7th. So that's the trajectory of this book, friends. We'll be done with it by Valentine's Day.
Damn.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you know what I mean. Then we have to do the movie, and then we have to do our group therapy episode. But
the schedule.
You know me, the schedule. I've had this scheduled for years.
Yes. And then you reschedule it as necessary.
As it's true, but I have this thing where if I know I'm going to have to schedule something, I just have to do it right now. I literally have parts of the next book scheduled also. Anyway, let's move on to plugs. As a reminder, we're not plugging Struck Work right now, so I hope you've been reading something good. Takenna, do you want anyone to follow you anywhere on the internet?
No.
Okay,
the
don't
only
follow
place
me.
People can find me is on the Discord, especially in the book club.
Woo!
Which
Yes,
is amazing.
for as little as $1 a month, you too can be a part of our Patreon Discord server where me and Takenna hang out, and once every 3 months, Haley comes to say something clever and then disappears with the moon or whatever. And yeah, as Takenna mentioned, we also have a network book club, which everyone who is a patron in our main Discord server gets monthly invitations to the book club. So it's a lot of fun. Thank you for that plug, Takenna. And what have you been, what non-Struck media have you been consuming recently that you think the listeners would enjoy?
So I'm gonna go with The Mermaid, the Witch, and the Sea by Maggie Tsukuda Hall. It was really interesting world building. There's a bunch of queer characters, and the story didn't go where I thought it was gonna go. So I always enjoy that when I can't just immediately predict what's happening.
Yes. Amazing. Thank you so much. Haley, what are you plugging?
I am going to plug a web novel that I found recently called Time to Destination Unknown.
Is that the one you sent me?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
It's really cool. It's by Darren Idala. I think they have a couple other stories up on their webpage. This one is still updating, but it's pretty close to done, and it updates very regularly. But it's about a sociologist very, very far in the future who is woken up on board a colony ship where, like, everybody has been, like, asleep until they, get there, and discovers that the crew that's supposed to be piloting the ship is dead. The trip is taking about twice as long as it's supposed to, and is still 5 years from its destination, and they are the only person awake or alive on the ship, and something is wrong with the AI. So it's this person trying to, who has absolutely no qualifications beyond, like, kind of normal nerd stuff, trying to control an interstellar starship and
I love that.
be its captain.
I love that so much. That's, like, kind of a similar plot to Project Hail Mary. Dude with not nearly enough expertise in a spaceship by himself trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Like,
amazing.
It's fun.
I can't wait to check that out. I'm Christina. You know where to find me. And today I'm going to plug Dark of the Moon by Tracy Barrett. Maybe like our first or second book club book for the Day 6 Media Book Club was Ariadne by, is that Jennifer Saint who wrote that one? But did you not read it with us, Takenna, or do you just not remember?
That was before me.
That was before Takenna? There was never a time before Takenna.
No, I joined like last summer.
It was by Jennifer Saint. So we all read it, and it's a retelling of Ariadne, who is in Greek myth the sister of the Minotaur, if you're familiar with that myth. And we were just really disappointed when we read it by how like deeply unfeminist it was. It's a brand new retelling. The whole book world was losing their minds over it. And it was disappointingly unfeminist. You know, the main character, Ariadne, did nothing of her own volition, and we all just felt bummed by it. So Dark of the Moon is another retelling of that myth. And as you should do when you're writing Greek myth for a modern audience, they changed stuff and made it better and more palatable. So if you read Ariadne and you were disappointed, Dark of the Moon by Tracy Barrett is the feminist retelling that you've been looking for.
Nice.
Takenna, thank you so much for joining us on the restricted section.
Yeah, it was really nice talking to you.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for inviting me. It's been fun. I was worried that I'd forget to talk because, you know, I listen to this show and it's a bit like listening to the show.
Don't you talk back to podcasts as you're listening?
I do. It's a problem, except you usually get those thoughts in the Discord.
It's true. And that's why the Discord is so fun. And Haley, as always, thank you for being my co-pilot.
Thank you for being the pilot to my co-pilot.
Any old time. Until next time, that's the way.
Oh, can I say the thing?
Goes. Oh,
can
yeah.
I say the thing?
What thing?
The library's closing, bitches. So take your shit and get the fuck out.
That's it, potheads. Thanks for listening to the restricted section. This podcast is produced and hosted by me, Christina Kahn. Our theme music was produced by Ryan Kahn. Our logo was designed by Michael Hardison. Please connect with us on Twitter @RestrictedPod, on Instagram @RestrictedSectionPod, on Facebook @RestrictedSectionPod, or in our Facebook group, The Restricted Section Detention Crew. Join our Patreon to get access to our Discord server, our bonus episodes, and other cool perks. We're also very happy to be a member of Deus Ex Media, where all you fucking nerds can find all kinds of fandom podcasts to suit your fancy.
Do you love to be super scared? Do you enjoy listening to hilarious hot takes on timeless classics? Well, fear not, listeners. I'm here. Welcome to the Super Scary Podcast, where we cover everything from the supernatural to the superpowered. I'm your host, Josh, a scaredy cat nerd who enjoys superhero, sci-fi, and horror movies way too much. Whether I'm processing my trauma from Texas Chainsaw Massacre or reminiscing on the nostalgia of Hocus Pocus, my guests and I have a hilarious time going through our favorite and sometimes not so favorite moments. I'm your friend till the end, listeners, because everyone's entitled to one super scary podcast. We post weekly episodes on Mondays, and you can find us at Super Scary Podcast on all the socials. See you in the afterlife, listeners.
It's always one more fucking thing.
Dave X Media.